Welcome to SAS Daily Podcast. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And thank you guys for subscribing. We're blessed enough to have a special co-host, Tracy from In Dark Places. How are you doing tonight, man?
Yeah, man. Good evening. Good evening.
And we're blessed enough to have a guest who seems like I'm going to interview every member from their band, Halo, Brandon Hall. He's a guitar player for them.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. It seems like I'm going to interview every member before 2022. I guess that's the goal.
Absolutely, that's a good goal to have. There's a lot of good people in that band to talk to, so hopefully we'll give you some good content going this year.
What kind of upcoming shows do you have?
The only thing that I'm aware of right now is I think we're looking at Apple Days. Aside from that, I've not. I know there's some things in the pipes. I don't know anything that's finalized at this point, but I'm sure there's going to be some announcements coming very soon.
Yeah. And who's your biggest inspiration in music?
Well, the reason that I picked up a guitar to begin with was Kiss and Ace Frehley of Kiss in particular. I initially started patterning my playing after him. I think I really sort of patterned the showmanship after him. My influences grew to a lot more like the 80s shredders, such as Eddie Van Halen and Satriani and Steve Vai. But Ace was the guy that really got me into guitar, and Kiss was that gateway into rock and roll for me. So I'd say that's probably the biggest inspiration.
I as well. Peter Criss is the reason why I started drumming. That and my dad. My dad was a huge influence on me. He was a drummer. He played in a bunch of bands. He traveled all over the country and played. But Peter Criss. I remember, the cat, makeup and the pearls that he played. It was like that's the guy. But then that evolved into, Neil Peart from Rush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the holy grail right there. You get to see him, or unfortunately he's passed on, but those are some big influence. I am as well from the 80s. Got a lot of influence from the 80s.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not a drummer, but I have the utmost respect for Neil Peart and his work with Rush. I love that entire body of work, the lyrical genius that is Neil Peart, and all of the details that go into everything that he did. Just an incredible man, an incredible legacy.
To get those sounds out of a 3-piece band,
it's incredible. It's incredible. The first time that I heard 2112, I didn't even realize that there were 3 people in the band until I flipped over and looked at the back of the album cover. I'm like, wait a minute, there's 3 guys wearing kimonos making all of this sound.
Exactly. And
that wasn't a lot.
And not to take anything away from Geddy Lee. I mean, just his talent alone is more than what most bands have.
Oh, absolutely. Any bass player that can play bass, play keys, and sing like an angel, it's just amazing.
And play a keyboard with your foot at the same time. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I can barely even play a guitar and keep the downbeat on the floor, right? And here it's incredible. We could go on about Geddy Lee all night.
Absolutely. And
we could go on about Rush all night.
I mean, Eric Lifeson himself. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, that is the culmination of, it almost has to be heavenly that God put those 3 people together to make Rush.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other way around it.
It's incredible that you had, because you got to remember, you didn't have Neil Peart in the beginning. You had John Rutsey. So you had that entire first album, which is Canadian Led Zeppelin, which is freaking awesome. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. They could have had a tremendous career going on that. But when Rutsey basically had the health concerns and wasn't able to keep going, they brought in Neil Peart. The stratosphere just exploded, and it was incredible.
Absolutely. And the funny is, there's a story that Eric Lifeson tells it when he was 16 or 17. He told his parents that he was quitting school because he was going to be a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad was pretty strict and was like, that's not going to work. And now look at him today. He's like, well, he had that goal. I'm going to be a rock star. School is in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out,
Yeah, I always love stories like that when somebody has that sort of dream and they have that unrelenting pursuit of it and they're able to achieve it. And had the utmost success with it. So Rush,
Tyler Childers.
yeah, Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson, guys like that, they're making a lot of noise and having the
Chris
ties to
Stapleton.
this area. Stapleton, absolutely. It's
He's actually probably the best country singer to ever come out of Eastern Kentucky.
I'd say that's a pretty fair statement.
I could agree. Well, I mean, that's big shoes. I mean, going down Route 23, the country music highway, there's a lot of talent that comes out of this area.
Mhm.
And it's got to be in the water. It's the only thing I know.
I think so, because sometimes the double-edged sword of that is some of the best talent that's came from this region you've never heard of.
That's right.
That's why I have so much respect for guys like you coming on and doing these podcasts and people that are trying to get local music out there for people to hear.
Because you're not going to. Shout out to Malcolm Johnson, one of the most talented people I know. He is from High Pool. Man, that guy can flat out sing. I don't know if you've heard him sing. He absolutely killed that show Wednesday at Broken Throw.
Oh yeah, he's the real deal. And unfortunately, I didn't get to attend that show, but I have heard him. He's quite a talented fellow.
Check out the podcast that I've had him sing on, man, because he absolutely killed it. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to like tell when people are talking like here on Zoom and stuff because you can't. Yeah, because sometimes it delays and stuff like that. But I got a question for both of you guys. Actually, do you both of you I say have been to concerts and have met singers, famous singers? Do you two have any bad experiences meeting singers, like where they was like rude to you guys?
Myself, I've never had a bad experience meeting any musician, no matter what level of fame. I can't think of a single bad story or a snub that's ever occurred to me. I feel like for the most part, at least the musicians that are in the vein of what I enjoy, what I do, that on the rock and roll side of things, I feel like for the most part, those kind of guys are pretty humble and they really appreciate their fans.
Yeah, I agree. It's really weird because my grandmother, I don't know if you guys ever heard of, I'm close to Huntington, West Virginia, and the old Huntington Civic Center in the 80s was hosted, every band coming and going. Well, I got in free because my grandmother would sneak me in the back door. But with that, I got to meet a bunch of entertainers, a lot of singers. I can't think of anyone that stands out that was actually either rude or short to me. But as I get older, my music taste have changed a little bit. I mean, I'm a rock and roll guy. But I'm starting to learn or lean a little more towards a lot of the older country, some even the bluegrass. And my wife and I just went up to a show in Ohio and watched Daly and Vincent. They're bluegrass gospel guys. After their show, we ran into them as they were walking to their bus. And those guys stood there and talked to us for probably 25 minutes and was taking pictures and was telling us stories about their family. And it was just so down to earth. And it was nice. They weren't rushed. They were very nice, very professional, took pictures. I mean, whatever anybody asked them, they were willing to do. And they just got done playing an hour and 90 minutes, or a 90-minute show. And it was just awesome. It was great. But I met David Coverdale. He was probably one of the most down-to-earth guys that ever, the lead singer for Whitesnake. And he was just right down to earth. I mean, he's probably, I'd have to say, one of the coolest that I ever met.
Well, to piggyback off of that story, I think we'll go with one of my all-time favorite guys, a guy by the name of Damon Johnson. I'm not sure if either of you are familiar with him, but he's of Brother Kane and Thin Lizzy fame. So he did a show in Hazard at the Forum. And after that show, I had the opportunity. He came out and did a meet and greet. It was a decent line, but he was being very generous to every fan that came through, signing whatever, whatever you might have bought or whatever. I stood with him for probably 10, 15 minutes and had a conversation with him about the gear that I saw on his pedal board, the Les Paul that he was playing. And the dude was nice enough to reach in his pocket, and I don't have it on me. It's back in the studio, but he was kind enough to give me one of his guitar picks that is branded with Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I mean, it's just experiences like that are what I want to shape me throughout my musical career. I may never achieve that level of fame, and I'm fine with that. But I do want anybody who ever comes up to me, even if it's just a casual conversation, to walk away feeling with that same sort of feeling that I felt after that.
That's cool.
Yeah, is there any famous people that you guys had bad experiences with or good experience with? It doesn't have to be a singer, just like a guy from a TV show, a girl from a TV show, or whatever. You don't have to say any names, by the way.
I played a softball game one time with a famous guy from up this way. We achy braked his heart because we beat him. Not giving no names, but he was really cool. He was down to earth. I don't know. That's been 20 some years ago. So I mean, I don't know how he is today, but back then he was pretty cool and down to earth guy.
Again, the majority of celebrities that I've met in my lifetime have been mostly musicians, a few TV show cast members, but again, I've never had a bad experience with any of them whatsoever. That story with Damon Johnson is usually always the one that comes to the forefront, that comes to mind when I think about positive experiences with celebrities, just because it had so much of an impact on me.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I do have another quick one. George Lynch from Dokken and Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
He played a show in Whitesburg and did a meet and greet with himself and the singer Oni Logan outside. Uh, so, again, long line of people, very accommodating, very friendly to everyone that was there. And we had a quick conversation. He had, I think, like 4 albums laid out, 2 EPs and 2 albums or whatever. And it was when the Sunred Sun record just came out. And they asked if I had it yet. And I said, no, I don't. George takes his teeth, rips the plastic off of one of the CDs, signs the case, and gives it to me. How cool. I mean, how cool is that? That doesn't happen.
That is cool. Well, I guess this could go on for a while. I do remember another one, Vivian Campbell. I met. He was part of Whitesnake then, and that's when the Pied Piper music store was around, and he was doing a meet and greet there, and took about 10 minutes and just stood there and talked to him. He was just kind of playing around on his guitar. There wasn't really anybody there yet because I don't think it really started yet. But he sat there and talked to me and another friend for probably 15 minutes and just talking as he just kind of strummed around on his guitar. And it was just really, it was cool to be just you and him and not a bunch of other people around. You kind of really get to see the real person just for a glimpse. And he seems like he's a really cool cat too.
That's amazing. Yeah. Anytime you get that glimpse of authenticity in an artist that you respect, that's something to, really enjoy.
It's really funny. I'll see him on TV now, and I'll tell my kids, I'm like, "Hey, I met that cat one time. We hung out for a few minutes, and they're like, "Yeah, whatever."
That's a cool story for sure. Yeah, man. There's a lot of nice famous people, but I do have to say, I probably have one of the best bad celebrities meetings, man. I'm not gonna say his name. He's an NBA player, and he's still in the NBA playoffs, by the way. That'll probably give it away right there. But yeah, man, he was at a local high school gym. It's when they was playing against Alice Lloyd College in Big Blue All Stars game, and he was walking inside the locker room and stuff, and I was just me and a bunch of boys was sitting there. We said hey, and he said hey. Everybody was asking him for an autograph. He just like looked around and just left. He thought he was like better than everybody. I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah, that's what's so disheartening too, is when you have somebody that people look up to you and respect you. If it's not for your fans, you don't have a career there. They're what pay your bills. Take care of your fans.
Even it doesn't matter how talented you are. If people don't like you, that's just the way it is. I mean, you have to You know, you have to, you're in this profession, whether it be sports, music, acting, whatever, you have a fan base. And without that fan base, you're nothing.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of NASCAR, and one of the first guys that come to mind in this sort of scenario is Richard Petty, who has gone on record so many times of saying, if it wasn't for the fans of this sport, if it wasn't for Richard Petty fans, there'd be no Richard Petty. And I think that is an applicable statement to every celebrity, notable person out there who is.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I met Terry Labonte one time. I met a couple NASCAR guys. My wife used to work for a company who we had the opportunity to meet a few drivers here and there. And I won't say that he was rude. He just wasn't very approachable. He could have just had an off day. You know, that's what I attribute it to. But because, you know, when you see him on TV, he seems like a nice guy and everything else. And he had just raced Bristol that night, and Earnhardt put him into the wall. And the next day he was doing this meet and greet up here. And, you know, I could see, okay, yeah, you're tired. I mean, the race didn't end until like midnight. Then you flew up here from Bristol or come up here. And I mean, I can understand, but he wasn't very overly friendly when I met him.
I'm going to guess that was probably, if my memory serves me correctly, it must have been 99, the race that he spun and did not win.
Correct. Correct.
So I guess there might have been a valid reason for being a little grumpy the next day.
He was not a happy camper, that's for sure.
Because in 97, Earnhardt bumped him. Terry went on to win the race. He had a wrecked race car, but he still won. 99, it wasn't the case. So.
Yeah, he crossed the finish line sideways, I believe.
Yeah.
And your songs on YouTube are doing very well, man. Haley is an amazing singer.
She is. She's really talented. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to work with her and support her. And you know, hopefully I can do my part to, you know, make the band and make the music as good as possible, as enjoyable as possible. And hopefully, you know, when the people come out to see us, myself, I love to entertain a crowd. So hopefully they come out and have a great time. And if we can send the people home happy, we've done our jobs.
She's a very nice person as well.
No, yeah, absolutely. Very genuine.
I interviewed her as well. I told you I'm trying to interview every member of Halo by the end of 2022, apparently.
Well, if you have any hangups getting anyone else, I'll pull some strings and make it happen for you.
Hey, you know a guy. Come on.
I know a guy. I know a guy that knows a guy.
Yeah, Tracy, is there anybody that you haven't interviewed that you it doesn't even have to be a celebrity that you wish that you I mean, is there, how was I gonna say this?
I was gonna say I can't name them all.
Yeah, but if it was like the top person on your list, if you could interview them, who would it be?
Well, I guess it would have to be, it would all depend on really a subject matter, but man, that's a tough one. I mean, if we're talking music, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Neil Peart. I mean, I know we already talked about him, but he's not the only one. I mean, Peter Criss would be another one. I mean, unfortunately, in Eddie Van Halen, you're not going to make that happen, but that would be another one. Sammy Hagar. Love Van Hagar, loved him. I think they were better with Sammy than they were with Dave. I know that may make some people mad, but to me, that's two different genres of music. When Dave was in Van Halen, it was not as, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to, it wasn't as bubblegummy than when they come out with OU 812 or 5150. It was more radio friendly versus, you know, Running with the Devil was, you know, a typical late 70s, early 80s song, where all the other stuff with Sammy was, I don't want to say lighter, but it wasn't as grungy to me. And to me, I liked Sammy's direction a little better. But man, oh Lord, I could go on and on. I mean, I'd love to have done Art Bell before he died. That would have been great. I got a list about that long. that, I mean, people I could name.
Yeah. To be honest with you, man, I've interviewed one person that was one of the top people on my list, and Joe Tada, man. I watched Dual Survival since I was like 13 years old, man. So it was definitely amazing interviewing him. And the crazy thing is, I'm interviewing him again tomorrow. Well, tomorrow it's 12, so today at 7 p.m. and that'll be up on YouTube.
He's a repeat. He's coming back for a second one.
Man, it's an honor to interview him again. It has 8.5 thousand views on YouTube, which is very good.
Sweet.
He's a heck of a guy. Thank you, man. Being from Eastern Kentucky, it's definitely hard to get views and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like with our shows the same way. I mean, unless you have, you know, Jesus on, I mean, short of, you know, it's hard to get anybody to really kind of get any views.
But yeah, man, that'll definitely get thousands of views, and I want to thank Joe for doing it again, man. It's going to be an amazing interview, and yeah, man, people love the first one. They're definitely going to love the second one. Also, Sunday at 10 p.m., if you live in Pikeville, you'll be able to hear me on Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast on WXLR. And yeah, it'll be on 10 p.m. Sunday on WXLR. And if you live in Knott County, it'll be on.
Oh, did he just wig out?
I believe so.
I believe he did. So I guess I'll take over.
I was afraid that was on my end. So
who are you listening to now? Who do you?
The newer act, they're called Station, and they come from New York. They did opened a show for, was it Striper? I think it was Striper and Lynch Mob on a co-headlining show in Hazard, and they were one of the openers. And they absolutely blew my mind. If you love 80s rock, these guys are right up your alley. That first album is absolutely incredible, and that's, you know, if I'm leaving out early in the morning, that's one of my favorite albums to put on to get me going.
I got you. I've been listening to a lot of Joe Bonamassa. Just, you know, the bluesy and you know, just that's my go-to guy right now. That been listening to a lot of Macaulay Shanker Group, Johnny Lang. Been listening to a lot of Johnny Lang here lately. And then every now and then I'll sneak a little 38 Special or something like that in there, you know?
Yeah, you got to have the guilty pleasures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the little things in life.
It showed you two guys freezing.
Yeah, you froze up for a minute, man, so I just kind of took over.
Yeah, I had you two guys freezing. Yeah. But, yeah, it's on Monday on Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast will be on WKCB here in Knott County on Monday at 10 p.m. Sorry if I interrupted you guys, but it like frozen. I didn't even know if there was a conversation going on or what.
No, we're just
it said you guys went out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we could hear each other. You were just kind of like frozen in your little
I could hear you guys
tropical paradise there.
I could hear you guys too a little bit.
We just took it and ran with it, so I hope that's all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, we were just talking about who we listen to on a regular basis today. You know, like if you got in your car right now and took off, I mean, who you listening to? So, you know, I don't know. I don't guess I can really pick just one. Like I said, I've been listening to a lot of Bonamassa. That lady, I can't think of her last name's Hart. She sings with him a lot. She is incredible. Beth Hart.
Beth Hart. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's incredible singer, and she's got that raspy, bluesy. Just, I mean, it oozes out of her. She lives it, you know, like you're supposed to. But yeah, I mean, we can do influences all day. I mean, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably a lot older than both of you guys, but I mean, I remember when MTV played music. You know, I was there when it come on. The very first video was on. I was there. So, but I mean, you're looking at influences from like Bryan Adams, John Cougar Mellencamp, all the way to then the Van Halens and Kiss, and then you go into the Motley Crue and the White Snakes and Cinderellas and all them guys. I mean, it's just one big conglomerate of influences. I mean, they're all influences.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's incredible when you really sit and think about how many people have influenced you over the years, from various different, we're talking about music, from various different genres of music, because I remember just growing up, there really wasn't any rock and roll in the household. Primarily what we heard was bluegrass and gospel. So that was very much the foundation of my youth musically. Right. And it really wasn't until early teens that I discovered rock and roll. And there was a sort of a gradual transition from my tastes from, the bluegrass gospels into the rock and roll, but I still maintained influence from things that I'd heard. So.
And I think because from where we're at, bluegrass is in there in all of us. I mean, just because of where we're at. But you think of some of the great singers, not even just really rock and roll singers, but just some of the great singers generally have either a church or a bluegrass background. And that's where they start is, a lot of them are in church. Even some of the best, Whitney Houston, you may not be a fan, but you got to admit the girl had pipes, Beyonce, same way. I mean, I'm not a fan, but she can sing. And they both started in church. And I think a lot of it, of these, especially the soul type singers, it basically starts in church for them, where for us, it's mostly bluegrass.
Yeah, absolutely. But, still there is a very common narrative, especially in this region, that very many of the musicians that are here have foundations in church and playing in church and singing in church. I know I certainly do. The Halo Band, we were on Eli's podcast on Voxy a month or so ago, and that was one of the conversations that we had. Is it seems like so many musicians that's their foundation comes in playing in church and getting that experience. The guy that's playing drums with us, Sean, remember he was telling that was his one of his first experiences playing drums in public, and one of the things that really kind of got him going. One of the things that got me playing guitar was watching the elders in the church growing up playing guitars. I was fascinated with the instrument as a 4 and 5 year old kid. Sure. So I mean, there's a lot of influence to be taken away from that. And a lot of people still use that platform to hone their craft. I'm a worship leader at Ridge Point Church still to this day. Playing in church is very much foundational in what I do.
And there are some great musicians that come out of a church setting. I mean, one of the greatest guitar players I ever seen, he was an older man. I mean, probably in his 70s. And he was three finger picking style on the guitar. And I mean, and it just blew me away. I was like, you've got, and we were in a church. And I was like, man, that guy, he's either been playing since they made guitars or he's just got a talent that God has poured all over him.
Absolutely. That's tremendous to hear. And it goes back to something I said earlier. Some of the best musicians in this world are people that you've never heard of. So that's a tremendous thing to hear.
Yeah, you was talking about Sean. He actually told that story. I interviewed him too as well. Sean told that story, man. And speaking of Sean, he's a great drummer as well. Yeah, man, the talent here in Eastern Kentucky, or just here in Appalachia, period. If you go to church, man, you can hear preachers like, I don't know if you guys was raised a regular Baptist or not, but I was. And I remember hearing people that was way more talented than the singers that are famous today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember I didn't grow up on regular Baptist, but my dad's family was primarily, affiliated with the church. So every time that there was a funeral, we would ultimately go there. And so I would be, I would get to experience that beautiful call and response, all these voices. It's just, it's incredible. It's incredible. There's a lot of wonderful singers that come from that vein.
Yeah. And a lot of them will never be just local guys, which is okay. But sometimes like we have a girl in our church, and I mean, when she sings, it's breathtaking. I mean, it gives you goosebumps. You almost start crying. Her voice is that amazing. And she is so humble that I don't even think she knows how much talent her voice has. And it's incredible that that comes out of a human. And it's just, and I tell her all the time, you have no idea how talented you are. You have no clue. But she's really conservative, really shy, and she's like, "Oh well, I just do it for the Lord," And that's like, "No, you're doing it for me too." And I promise you, it's a blessing every time I hear you.
Oh, does she actually like sing for like any bands or anything?
No, she just gets up and sings in the church. When they ask her to sing, she gets up and sings. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, man. There's a lot of people like that, man, and there's people like that I would love to have on the podcast, and like, because there's not gonna say any names, but there is been people that have sung on here before and have got like managers hit them up and stuff and like everything in the world, man.
That's what I need. I need a manager.
I need a manager.
I don't know what for, but
I need a manager to set up these interviews for me.
Yeah, you need that guy.
Yeah. Last week I actually did like 5 interviews in a row, 5 days in a row, man. I had to take Saturday and Sunday off. But Sunday, actually, I didn't even take Sunday off because I did an interview with Here to Bubblegum.
Yeah,
so yeah, I didn't take Sunday off. So Saturday was my only day off from podcasting.
Hey, that's the grind you got to do to get those numbers and to get the audience. So, respect to that work ethic, and people will latch on to that, and people will take notice of that. So kudos.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And I know you guys at Halo be playing music like 24/7.
Well, that's definitely the hope. I think I speak for every one of us to say we would love to have a field calendar with gigs this year and the years coming. So,
well, when you're with a bunch of guys, or even if girls, it don't matter. I mean, when you're with a bunch of band members that you all get along and everybody seems to click, you don't want it to end. You want to keep going and go and go, and that kind of builds and pushes you to do better or go harder. It's when you get the conflicts and everybody's snipping at each other, that's when it's not fun anymore.
Yeah. Whenever there's, I don't know, it's so wonderful when you do have that situation where you click with everybody in the band, and you can genuinely consider each other to be friends.
Yeah.
And you have that chemistry musically, and from a performance standpoint. It's an incredible feeling. Yeah, it's something that you just want to, it's like a dream you don't want to wake up from.
Yeah, and those are hard to come by because you usually have the one guy. There's usually that one guy.
I've been very fortunate to say that everybody that I've had the opportunity to play with is some of the most humble people, and I mean, obviously you guys know the majority of them, so their character speaks for themselves.
I always hope I'm not that guy.
Right.
Yeah, I've interviewed I think I haven't interviewed like 1 or 2 members of your band yet, but I've interviewed, there might be like 1 or 2 left, man. Yeah, we're going to get that done by 2022.
Well, you have to get the rest of them knocked out, and then hopefully we can start being your next round of repeat offenders.
I've had Malcolm on 3 times, and then me and him have co-hosted podcasts with have you heard of a country singer named Dustin Collins? He's pretty famous around here.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
He has a song called Cold Dead Hands.
Yeah,
I had him on the podcast, and he sung some songs for us. He's from Bardstown. He's a really good guy.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's actually playing in the Caribbean. He's playing one of the Caribbean islands this weekend, like this past weekend. And they're like, right now, yeah, man, he's a heck of a singer.
I already don't like that guy if he's in the Bahamas.
I'd love to have a gig on an island right now.
Yeah, come on. I mean, geez. How do you sign up for that?
I guess, have 1.7 million views on Facebook on a song. That'll help.
That might make a difference.
Yeah, that would help.
Well, there might be that talent thing, I guess.
I don't know what that is. Musically, I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
I'll pretend that I do.
Hey,
Well, one of us does.
yeah. One of us play in a band, two of us are on the podcast.
But there's a possibility you might be on the radio here soon. I know we can't go too much into detail about that.
We'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man, if you guys Brandon, you should definitely listen to it because it was a very interesting it's a great podcast, man. Here to Chew Bubblegum. It's on every Sunday night on WXLR. Yeah, I believe it's 104.9. It comes on at 10 p.m. every Sunday night in Pikesville.
I'll be sure to check that out. Absolutely.
I'm not sure if you live in Pike County.
I don't. I'm actually back towards Prestonsburg.
Oh, really? I'm in Knott County.
Be closer to me. I see.
Yeah. Yep. That 23 connection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it runs right through Ashland.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've had a lot of famous people come out of just Ashland. I mean, of course, there's Billy Ray, who single-handedly just destroyed country music. The Judds are from here. There's a guy right now, Rob McNerlin. He's from here. There's a lot of country guys from here. Earl Thomas Conley's from Portsmouth, just up the road. Cletus T. Judd, I just ran into him like 3 days ago at the Walmart. You know,
Of all places.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of talent, and that's not counting what's down your way. You know, Prestonsburg, Paintsville, Pikeville, down that way. I mean, it's just tons of talent coming out of that area.
I was born in King's Daughters. Can I tip my name in that hat?
I'm 15 minutes from King's Daughters. We won't promote them too hard. But all right, I got to do this because I do this with everybody who's musical. We got to go through favorite guitar player.
It's so hard to narrow down to just one. I never have one definitive answer, but I'll go back to the most inspirational for me, which has to be Ace Frehley of Kiss.
Okay.
Favorite guitar player to listen to, though, and probably most respected because of his innovation to the instrument, has to be Andy Van Halen.
I don't think anybody can dispute Eddie Van Halen. Well, I don't see how you could. There's others that are close. Like I'm a big Gary Morris Jr. fan. I love to listen to Gary Morris, but when it comes down to, you're right, to what he gave rock and roll as a guitar player, I can't think of anybody else who changed the guitar more than he did just by adding a few hammers, you know, and it changed an entire genre of guitar players. So I have to agree with you 100%.
Eddie is the benchmark that most of my major influences, I mean, probably my biggest musical influence, just as far as who I patterned my playing after the most, is George Lynch. But, you know, even George, one of his biggest influences is Eddie. So.
And George is a solid staple. I mean, from Dokken to Lynch Mob, I mean, his style hasn't really changed, but there's differences. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but you play a Dokken record and listen to George Lynch, and then you play a Lynch Mob album, you automatically know within the first few notes, that's George Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
He just has his own sound. That's George Lynch. I know who that is.
Yeah. Any record you hear with George, it's definitively George, whether it be, his tone has evolved over the years, but he's also had some very notable tones from his vibrato technique. I mean, it's just his playing style is definitively George, and so I've taken a lot of inspiration from that in my own personal playing.
Good deal. Okay, favorite bassist. This is hard for me. This is the hardest one.
That is a very, very tough one.
Who
I'm
is
torn.
both of your guys' favorite bassists?
I'm gonna have to probably say Geddy Lee.
Well, I lean towards Geddy Lee, but I love to hear the funk bass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the guy's name is who played for Earth, Wind, and Fire, but he is amazing. I don't know the guy's name who played for the Commodores. He was amazing. I'd have to lean towards Geddy Lee as well. But I do like the funk. I like the bass lines that make you not only hear it, but you feel it. You know it, and it's not just a simple boom, boom, boom. I mean, they're walking, all over the fretboard and up and down the neck. And it's like, dude, you should have been a solo guitar player, because you're rocking it.
Yeah, two of my favorite elements of music are the funk and the swing. And if you've got a band, that's got the funk and got the swing, you got something magical. You got Van Halen 1.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I always tell everybody if I could set up my own band with anybody I wanted or anything that I wanted, it would look like an orchestra, like Brian Setzer. I would have a horn section. I would have a percussion section. I would have a wind set. I mean, to me, the more the better. And I love that. Like you said, the swing. I like that. And it's like Brian Setzer. I mean, you say that name to a lot of people and they go, who? And I'm like, gosh, you're missing out on so much. What are you doing with your life? Put the video games down. You're missing out on so much when you don't know who these guys are.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is. But yeah, I'm with you. The more elements that go into music, the more I like it. I love music. I consider music to be an aural landscape. That when you close your eyes, you can listen to the record, and there's some sort of imagery that comes to your head. There's some sort of vivid imagery that you can see. I mean, that's why I love Yes. Just so many.
Come on, yeah.
I should have said Chris Squire. I don't know for the favorite bass player, but I mean,
Owner of a Lonely Heart, man, that's one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, see, I forgot all about them. Then they're from they were huge in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what was I thinking? I think we all agree on Neil Peart for the drums, but I think there's some honorable mentions. I'll let you go first while I think about it.
Honorable mention for me is going to be Eric Singer, currently playing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. Has played with Alice Cooper. That guy, he's incredible. I really enjoy him. Mike Portnoy.
He was in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Very much near the top of the list. Actually, one of my favorite drum solos I've ever heard, Winery Dogs. When I saw the Winery Dogs play, Portnoy plays a drum solo. If I remember correctly, because it's been a few years and I barely remember this morning, but I think he actually started it on like a Hello Kitty drum kit and ultimately took his sticks and moved around the stage playing notes literally on the stage, walked down to the front and everything. And then ultimately, plays everything, walking back up to his drum set, plays the rack, plays the cymbals, plays the microphones themselves. I mean, the dude hit everything possible and made it musical. That's the amazing thing.
I'd have to give a shout out to two different ones, Tommy Aldridge and Zoltan Chaney.
Nice.
If you want to see a show with a drummer who reminds me of Animal from the Muppets, it's Zoltan Chaney. That dude, he throws sticks, he kicks cymbals, he rests his legs up on his hi-hats. he's a show in himself, and I think he's currently playing with Vince Neil out in Vegas, I think. But he's from here, Ironton, well, just up the road, Ironton, Ohio. So yeah, he's a local boy, but he is nuts.
I actually did not know he was local. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was born and raised in Ironton, Ohio. Yeah,
That's interesting. I
right
didn't know
across the
that.
river. Right across the river. Matter of fact, his mom, I think, worked at the Big Lots in Ironton.
Oh wow.
So yeah, where I get my music stuff, I got one certain pawn shop I deal with quite a bit because the guy gives me great deals. But before Zoltan got famous, he was in there all the time, all the time. Nobody even really knew who he was. But I mean, you get a chance, YouTube him because it is a show.
I definitely will.
Yeah. Let's see. Do keyboardists really matter? Helen from my church, I guess. She's pretty good.
Hey, if you two guys could play with somebody that's dead, who would it be? Like a dead singer or something. Who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm not even a singer, but I'm gonna go with Elvis.
Well, I mean, Elvis would be. He's considered the king of rock and roll. I tend to lean towards Chuck Berry when I hear that, but
I was going to say you took my answer because I was literally going to say I'm not going to choose a dead singer. I'm going to choose a dead king.
yeah,
and the real king of rock and roll is Chuck Berry. I will fight you over it.
I tend to agree with you, and what is great is you think of the music from the 50s when rock and roll was first evolving into, well, it was getting away from the Pat Boonish type singing, when they come out with Bill Haley and, people are like, oh, what is this? And the kids are going crazy and all the parents are going, oh, that's the devil. And, to me, that had to be one of the most exciting times when you had guys like Chuck Berry coming out and Little Richard and guys like that who were really evolving what we have today. But it's kind of really started right there. The hub, we think of like Johnny Cash and Carl Perkins and Jerry Lee Lewis as country singers. Well, they are now, but when in the 50s, they were rock and rollers, man. I mean, Sun Records, that's where it was at, right downtown Memphis. And those guys were the pinnacle of rock and roll in the 50s. But to answer your question, I mean, Elvis would be a great one. I mean, there's so many that has died over the years.
Johnny Cash would be also a good one.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many that has died over the years and died young. I mean, we was talking about the Curse of the 27 there earlier. John Lennon would be a great one. I mean, I don't know that I could pick just one.
If I actually had to pick a singer, though, since I threw out a guitar player, I would probably have to go with Ronnie James Dio because the pipes on that man are just angelic in nature.
That's a good one. He never even entered my mind, but he would be a good one.
Oh, do you guys also think that Elvis faked his death?
No. No, I believe he's dead. Even though I will say this. I was in Carlisle, Pennsylvania about 15 years ago at a truck stop, and something was wrong with the fuel pump. And the guy they sent out to fix the fuel pump was Elvis. I'm telling you right now, he had the hair slicked back, the big long sideburns. He had this big gold chain on, rings, and he even had the cape on, I think. And I mean, this cat looked just like Elvis because I was like, oh my gosh, he's really not dead. But no, I think he's dead, along with Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and all those other guys. They're dead.
That was just a joke. But yeah, Brandon, tell us about your Facebook page, YouTube page for Halo and stuff.
Yeah, so the only real social media I do is just under my own name, Brandon Hall. Pretty simple to find, pretty straightforward. Just look for a long-haired dude like me holding a guitar, and you're probably in the right place. On the YouTube, I have some of my original music up, a small vlog series, just a few things that you can check out there. So you got some free time, you want something entertaining to do, just look me up on YouTube. Be happy to entertain your brain.
And Tracy, you gotta tell us about your podcast. I'm not into the podcast. I'm just letting you
Okay.
guys promote your stuff.
Sure. It's In Dark Places. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. I don't run it. Junebug, who's my co-host I'm the co-host of him. He runs all that stuff because I can barely turn on a computer. So yeah, I mean, we put a new show out, try to every Wednesday. We talk a lot of paranormal stuff, Bigfoot stuff, UFO stuff, and just about anything else, music, just whatever comes to mind, really.
Yeah, we did a UFO podcast Friday, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling the story about the actual UFO that I had an encounter with. That's when I'd always had kind of a fascination with, things of that nature. But when I actually laid eyes on something like that, that's when it was like, oh, all these people that's been saying they've been seeing things, I'm one of those now. So
Me too.
it's kind of funny, actually, in my headphones. Well, every time I do any kind of interview or a podcast, I play music real soft in my headphones. God of Thunder just come on from Kiss. Yeah, Kiss. God of Thunder is playing right now.
I can already see the blood drooling now.
Hey, Brandon, have you actually ever seen a UFO?
I can't say I have, no, but then again, I'm also pretty young, so I guess I've got hopefully I have plenty of years left ahead of me to encounter one.
Well, I was 47, 48, 47. Yeah, 47 when I seen mine. So, and until you actually experience it, because that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, oh crap, I'm one of those people.
I was 10 years old. I said, yeah, man, I'm sure you was you like scared?
I was more in amazement of actually, because when I had my wife on the phone with me, and when I first realized what I was seeing, I was like, what is that? And the whole time she was on the phone with me, I just kept going, Tammy, you're not going to believe this. Tammy, you're not going to believe this. I got to try to film this thing. I got to try. Like I said, I had got my phone the day before and I couldn't figure out how to record it because it was happening so fast. And I was trying to watch it and I was playing with my phone and she was on the phone with me. And I wouldn't say I wasn't scared, but I was most definitely just in amazement that you're seeing what you're seeing for real. This isn't a joke. You're not drinking. You haven't done any dope. You're seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah, as a 10-year-old kid, I didn't even know what it was. And now looking back on it, I realized that it was a UFO because it was just a gray, like a satellite thing, man. Like I said, an old dish satellite from back in the 90s. And I remember it just up in the sky. It was just a round circle and boom, seen the red thing, it fly.
Well,
I just seen it for actually about 2 or 3 seconds.
Well, see, my encounter lasted probably 3 minutes. So, 3 minutes don't sound like a lot, but when you just about slow down time, it's like forever. And, it wasn't something that when it went by, I went, could that have been a UFO? No, there was none of that. I was looking dead at it for like 2.5, 3 minutes straight. And it was less than 1,000 feet from me. So wow. There was no denying what I was seeing. Now, but when I say that, what I saw, was it from another galaxy? I don't know. Or was it one of ours that was top secret? I don't know. All I know is what I saw was nothing I've ever seen before. And it fit the bill of every other UFO sighting I ever heard of, with it being a triangular shape. It was about the size of a building, flying through the air at 2:00 in the morning in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, it could. There was actually people that have seen a UFO in the same area that I've seen mine at. So that makes it even more probably a better chance that it was actually a
Sure.
UFO.
There's a lot of sightings down around, especially Pikeville, Williamson, Matewan, Phelps, all down through there. There's Junebug's got tons of reports of of people seeing those things.
This was here in Knott County, Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a secret base or something down there. I don't know.
You never know, man. They could definitely have one down here because there's definitely very tough places for people to travel on.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
I've-
bro.
Well, I mean, I think I've played music with a few aliens, but I mean, musicians are some different cats, You got the guy who's like Henry Rollins, he wants to fight everybody. Then you got the other guy who's like Bob Dylan and wants to smoke dope with everybody. And yeah, they're different. They're different cats.
Yep, we're definitely a different breed, for better or for worse.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, you guys got anything upcoming? Like, you got any upcoming interviews?
As of right now, no. Like you said, we may be on something coming very soon, but we're not going to announce anything until we get finalized on all that stuff. We will be at the Mothman Festival September 18th and 19th. There is a Bigfoot Festival the 26th next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, in Summit, West Virginia. It's the very first annual Bigfoot Festival up there. They're going to open up a Bigfoot museum. It's supposed to be a big deal if you get a chance to head up that way.
Where's that at again?
Summit, West Virginia, right up 79. It's about an hour north of Charleston.
All right. That sounds like an awesome thing, man. Definitely. When is that Mothman festival again?
September 18th and 19th.
Man, that's gonna be
That'd be huge.
I gotta put that down on the schedule, man, and maybe come up to Point Pleasant. I've been there once before, so it's an awesome place.
I'm 35 minutes from there. I mean, come on up. You and Junebug come up. I mean, we'll go tear it down, man.
Maybe we can do some podcasts too.
I'd love to do one from there. Would be great.
Yeah. I don't know how that would be though. Like I'm not sure how good their hotel internet is and stuff.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, Brandon, do you got any upcoming music stuff that is confirmed, or like any music videos or something?
Nothing that's confirmed right now, at least with me. But again, I know there's several things down the pike that are in the works, but as far as what's confirmed, I don't have anything at this time.
I know you guys just released a song. If you want to talk about that, like a couple weeks ago, it's a very good song. It's called Blue something, ain't it?
Yeah, Shades of Blue. It's
yes, I love that song, man. Like I said,
yeah.
Haley, she's up next, man. She's gonna make it for sure. I really believe her and that Malcolm Johnson is gonna make it as well. I really believe Malcolm is gonna be signed to a record label, and I believe Haley and your guys' band's gonna be signed to a record label.
Yeah, certainly hopeful for the best, and I know that there's a lot of talent in all parties you just mentioned. So I'm definitely optimistic for the future.
You make it big, I'll say, hey, I know that guy too. And my kids will go, yeah, whatever.
I hope to be that guy for you someday.
Yeah, whatever, Dad.
Hey, he's on that commercial. I interviewed that guy back in 2021.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, whatever, Dad.
I want to thank you guys for being on, though, man. And I want to thank you guys for subscribing. Tracy's podcast, The In Dark Places, will be in the description. Send me a link to your YouTube as well, Brandon, and I'll put it in the description. Y'all have a good night, and God bless.